Hello. Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, whatever time of day it happens to be. I hope you're having a good day. And I think I'm in the US, by the way. I'm on the West Coast in Los Angeles. I'm Natalie. I'm founder of Aardvark, an accessibility testing platform. So welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be testing out some AI vibe coding and see how it does with accessibility. And we did this last time. We got some interesting results. We're going to try a slightly different experiment today and kind of see how it goes. So first, I have to apologize because I did say last time that I would do this on Windows, and so we could use Firefox and NVDA for screen reader testing. But then it's been a week, and I completely forgot that I said that until about 20 minutes ago. And I got out my Windows laptop, and there was a layer of dust on it. And then I realized, oh gosh, I've got to install all this stuff. Like, there's no way that I can get that ready in time. So I apologize. We will be on my Windows machine again today. But I was thinking maybe maybe next time we could just do, I could do the Windows machine, and we could just do NVDA, like a walkthrough of how to use NVDA for testing. I think a lot of folks don't know that. And then we could test out all of the AI stuff that we built today and that we built last time. So maybe we'll try that. So I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But here we are. And so last time we tested out a custom dropdown. And I picked that because it is one of the trickiest elements to get right. Now, of course, you could always use a semantic select element instead. And I was actually pretty happy to see last time that both ChatGPT and Claude immediately said, no, you shouldn't do this. You should just use the semantic element. So that's good. But I pushed it. I pushed it forward and said, no. We really want to test out these custom element. So let's build that out. And the results were all over the place. I had been trying to use the chat interface of ChatGPT because I know that that's how a lot of people are going to get started with vibe coding. It really didn't work out. ChatGPT just hallucinates too much, and I think it had a lot of trouble keeping track of the different CSS class names and different IDs on things, and then writing JavaScript that was going to work with everything. So that's okay. So today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually just use Codex from OpenAI. And then I'm going to use Claude Code embedded inside VS Code. Now, you remember last time I used Klein, an open source tool that is model agnostic inside VS Code, and I had that hooked up to Claude Code. And in the 2 weeks since, every day is a year in AI. So Klein has been acqui-hired by OpenAI, so that's probably going away. So I'm no longer using that tool, sadly. So I'll just have Claude Code direct inside VS Code, and then we're going to try Lovable as well. So what I thought we would try out doing today is Modal or Modal dialogues. And the reason I chose this one is I feel like they're not quite as complex as the custom dropdowns, although I guess they're pretty close. But I so rarely see them implemented correctly. So I thought we would see, given that these AI models are trained on the existing code that's out there, I thought we would see how well they might do with actually trying to make an accessible modal or modal dialog. And so I've got up on the screen right now a very simple contact form. And the task that we're going to try is we're going to add a confirmation modal dialog to this form when we try to submit it with a checkbox that has to be checked. in order for the form to get submitted. I'm going to give each of the models 2 prompts, a naive prompt that just asks for that, and then an accessibility focused prompt that specifically asks for an accessible modal, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what we get back. And I will be using VoiceOver since I'm on my Mac. I'll use VoiceOver to kind of test out and see how it did. So this is our contact form. You can see it's very basic. There's nothing fancy. I don't even have like a rest of the page. It's just a form. It is coded nicely. It's accessible. It's got form labels. It's using just the browser default focus indicator, which, is a little bit hard to see because it has a blue button. So if we wanted to, we could go in and touch up the CSS of that. And this is all together in one file. So I don't have an external style sheet. The style sheet's just embedded within the HTML page so that it's, a little single page that just stands on its own without any external dependencies. I have made multiple copies of it because that's something I learned last time, that I need to be able to reset back to the starting point when I'm ready to do the next prompt or the next model. So I've got multiple copies of it today, except for Lovable, of course, because Lovable is just going to build out the whole page for us. So let's talk real quickly about what makes a modal accessible. And I actually have a little excerpt. Oh, I think there's like a ghost in my kitchen or something. Oh, okay. There's stuff moving around out there. It's not my cat because he's over there. Okay. All right. I have a little excerpt from a presentation that I did here. So here's what we've got. We have got, oops, I want to go back. Let's see, previous. All right. So just a reminder of how an accessible modal is supposed to work. So presumably there will be some kind of user interaction on the page that opens the modal. Usually that will be activating a button. So I have that illustrated here. I have a little pointer cursor. I know not everybody is going to click the button with a mouse, but just for illustrative purposes. So we're going to click the button and that is going to open our modal dialog. Now, at this point, focus should be moved into the modal when it opens. Now, exactly where focus gets moved in the modal is going to depend on your specific use case and what you're doing. There's a lot of different schools of thought on this. There's a lot of tests that have been run online to figure out what might be best. For your particular case, you are going to have to test with your own users to see what might happen to work best. So your options are to move focus to the first interactive element in the modal, which most of the time is going to be the close button. That's probably at the top right of the modal. So that's one option. Your next option would be to move focus to the title of the modal. So anything that's providing, the description of what the modal is there for. You would, of course, need to make sure to make that focusable by giving it a tab index of 0. And then another option that you have is to just move focus to the modal in general. So to just the container that's holding your modal dialog, to move focus there. And depending on how you set it up, you might have to use a tab index 0. Now, for closing the modal, of course, with a keyboard, I should be able to tab to the close button. All of the content behind the modal should be completely inactive. Like I should not be able to click anything behind the modal with a mouse. I shouldn't be able to tab to anything with the I shouldn't be able to tab with the keyboard to anything that's not in the modal, and I shouldn't be able to get a screen reader to go outside the modal to read anything. Everything should be trapped in the modal for as long as it's open. Close it either by clicking the close button, or I should also be able to close it by hitting the escape key, which is a thing that a lot of people miss. So let's see what kind of results we get. I'm kind of interested to see. And I have here Charlie Triplett's Atomic Accessibility for our modal dialog, and it just walks through everything I just said. So we'll do the keyboard test and we'll do the screen reader test. So the keyboard test, when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button, I use the spacebar or enter key to activate the button, and I see the dialog opens. When I use the arrow keys, I see the content is browsed in a meaningful order, and the content behind the dialog remains inert, so I can't move back there. When I use the tab key, I see focus moves to interactive controls within the dialog, and the content behind the dialog still inert. When I use the escape key, I see focus returns to the launch button. I forgot to mention that. So when you close the modal, focus should move back to whatever it was that triggered it to open. If you don't do that, then the browser is just going to drop focus right back at the top of the document as though you had just loaded the page, which can be really annoying and frustrating. And then it says, or when I use the tab key to move focus to the dismiss or close button and activate it with the spacebar or enter key, I see that focus returns to the launch button. So that's our keyboard interaction that we're going to be looking for. Our screen reader interaction. So when I use a desktop screen reader, I'll use the tab key to move focus to the launch button, activate it. I will hear the dialog describe its purpose or title when it launches, right? Because I need to hear that the dialog opened. I will hear that it identifies itself. It should have an accessible name, just like anything else, right? Any form field or button or whatever, a dialog should have an accessible name. I should hear when it's closed, and focus should return to the launch button. And as long as it's open, the content that is behind the dialog that isn't inside should remain completely inert. So that's what we're going to be testing. There's a little bit more here, but I don't want to read that all out to you. We'll be testing it later. So that is what we're going to be working on for our contact form today. And this is our starting point. And then also a quick reminder, we have, like most things with accessibility, we have two different ways of building this modal dialog. We do actually have a semantic dialog element that we could use that would give us a lot of the functionality that we're looking for out of the box. And then, of course, we could also build it with divs and spans and lots of aria. So I'll be interested to see which route the different models take and if they make any different choices when I prompt for accessibility versus when I don't. I think a lot of developers are not even aware of the dialog element. It does have pretty good browser support, so it would ideally be what we're using. I think last time the models were all pretty quick to say, you should just be using select. So we'll see this time if they all just say, oh, you should be using a semantic dialog element. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and start with Claude. And I've got it open over here. And so this time, lesson I learned from last time is I need to have multiple copies. So I have 2 copies for Claude. I have 2 copies for OpenAI of the form, but they're exact copies of the starting file so that I don't have to do a bunch of messing around to reset. Okay, I'm going to open up my conversation with Claude, and here we are. I have my prompts written out ahead of time, just like last time, so you don't have to watch me type them all out because it's not the most exciting. All right, so for Claude and Codex, we're going to start with this prompt first. So we'll start with the naive prompt. And I am going to have to prompt it for which file I want to use. I'll add that to the prompt. But I'm going to just say, when the user clicks send message, instead of submitting the form right away, open a modal that asks them to confirm their submission. In the modal, include a checkbox that the user must check to agree to the terms before they can submit. Add a confirm button that submits the form and a cancel button that closes the modal. All right. So let me go ahead and copy that. And okay, I'm already in CC1. So Claude Code 1 is basically my naive prompt. And so I'm just going to add that so it knows. And then paste in my prompt. All right. And let's see what we get back. I do enjoy the little, status updates from Claude, thinking, actualizing, doing all kinds of that stuff. And of course, you can have it just do whatever, or you can ask it to get your permission first. So I'm just going to go ahead and say for this session, allow all edits so that we don't have to mess around with approving it all the time. All right, so I see that it added some CSS there. Still working on it. Oh, I don't see a dialog element. Okay, so here's what I added. A modal overlay appears when send message is clicked, preventing the default form submission. Terms checkbox box must be checked before the confirm button becomes enabled. It submits the form once the checkbox is checked. Ooh, submits the form once the checkbox is checked. That's not what I asked for, and that's also an issue for accessibility because I don't think users expect a form to submit when they check a checkbox. And then we also have a cancel button that closes the modal and resets the checkbox state. And clicking the dark backdrop also dismisses the modal. Okay, so yeah, I see the end of the form. If we scroll down, actually, let me give a little more room here for the code. Okay, yeah, so it did not use the semantic element here. I also don't see any aria. It did use buttons. Okay. All right. Well, let's open it up in a browser and see. I kind of forgot I would have to do that. All right, let's go ahead and open a new one and CC1. Drop it in there. All right, use my fake filler. Oh, fake filler doesn't work. Oh, because it's a local file. Okay, that's all right. We'll just type, type, type. All right. Send a message. Okay, it didn't do an email field. Okay. All right. So I'm using my mouse this time. So let's see what happens. Confirm. I agree. Confirm. Okay. And then, yeah, there's no file in there behind that. All right. Let's use the keyboard. So type, type, type. All right. Tab to the send message. Open it. Well, it did seem like focus was inside the modal. So let's go ahead and agree, confirm, and can I get out of here? Okay, I'm in the browser Chrome, but oh, no, see that behind the modal? I can focus those form fields. So this is no good, no good, no good. All right, and then confirm, and I can't test the focus moving back because I'm submitting the form. So let me go back and oops, let me actually go back here and let's cancel out of it. Cancel. Where's my focus? Nope. It dropped focus back at the top of the document. So this is pretty abysmal, actually. I don't think this passes any of our tests. Oh yeah, let's check the escape key. Oh, no, I'm hitting escape. Doesn't work. Okay, so this is a terrible result. I don't think this passes any of our I mean, we see it open. I guess that's okay, let's go back up here. So when I tab key to move to the focus on the launch button, I see the dialog opens. Okay, I think that is the only thing it passes, literally. I think that's the only one. So when I use the arrow keys, the content wasn't a meaningful order, but let's face it, it was pretty simple. There wasn't much going on in there. Okay, so that's maybe two that it passes. Moves to the controls and the content remains inert. No, absolutely not. That is not what happened. When I press the escape key, no, pressing the escape key didn't do anything. And when I use the tab key to move focus to the dismiss or close button, the focus returns to the launch button. No, it did not. So fail, fail, fail. On just the keyboard on that one. And we could fire up the screen reader, I guess, and try this out. It's not gonna be. So let's give that a try. Let's see here. Oh, hold on. I forgot I have my earbuds in, so you won't be able to hear VoiceOver here. So let me, okay, speakers are all the way up.
Contact us, web content.
Okay.
Email, test, add, chat, message, required, send message, button. You are currently on a button inside of web content.
Okay, so you saw that I activated that button. I opened the modal. No announcement whatsoever that that modal opened. No idea that it's even there. So let me go ahead and see what will happen if I just try to move focus now.
Heading level 2, confirm submission. You're about to submit. I agree to the terms and conditions. Uncheck, cancel button. You are contact us. And one more item, group.
Yeah.
VoiceOver off.
Pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll leave that one and let's open up CC2. So this is again the exact thing that we were starting from before. Let me open a new session in Claude and let me grab our accessibility prompt and let's see how it does. So I'm going to say CC2. Okay, so that it's working on this form and let's see what we get. It definitely couldn't be worse than what we got when we didn't ask for accessibility. Last time Claude actually did a pretty, oh yeah, let me go ahead and allow edits this session. Claude actually did like a, I don't know, like a C- last time without being prompted for accessibility. This time that was an F. It didn't do anything correctly that it was supposed to do. So my prompt this time, right, tells it everything that should happen, the focus handling, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see if we get, okay, so it still didn't use the semantic element. So it did add a role dialog with aria modal true, an aria labeled by, and an aria described by. It gave me a confirm checkbox and 2 buttons, cancel that closes the modal, confirm submits the form. And my accessibility features, I have a focus trap, I have escape to close the modal, I have focus management. Clicking on the overlay closes the modal, which actually, did I ask for that? That's a very common pattern. Confirm. No, I didn't actually ask for that. Okay, it added that on its own. And proper ARIA attributes for screen readers. Okay, so we scroll down. It added lots of JavaScript. So here's our modal, and we can see this time it did give us lots of ARIA attributes on things. And we have ARIA labeled by the modal title, which I have here. And then I have a paragraph that it uses ARIA described by, which is nice. That's fine, I guess. It would ensure that that paragraph would get read out for users who might be in forms mode. And then I have a label correctly associated with the input, and I've got buttons. And all right, let's go ahead and test this one out in the browser. So let's see here. Where's my browser? Oh, did I close it? Well, that was silly. Let's see. Did I leave it open down here? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So CC2, let's open that up. All right, so let me go ahead and test it with the keyboard. I'm not going to touch my mouse. So I'm just going to type. Okay, send a message. Okay, I do see focus is around that checkbox. So, all right, it moved it to the checkbox. I can't focus confirm until I check the checkbox. Okay, let's cancel. And yeah, it's a little bit hard to see because my button is blue, but focus is on that button. So if I shift tab, you can see it goes to the thing before it. So it did handle that correctly. And then it did say I could click on the modal on the backdrop to dismiss it. So that's fine. And let's see, let me go ahead and check it. and confirm. And of course, it's going to give me this file. I guess I should have had a nice little submit form for it to submit to. Okay, so keyboard wise, I think we did pretty good, right? So I tab, I open it, I see it opens. The content is browsed in meaningful order. Let me just double check if it's inert. So CC2. Let's just go ahead and double check that. Oh yeah, my tab is trapped in the modal. I'm just going between the checkbox and the cancel button. And if I check the checkbox, then I should go between the three. So checkbox, cancel, confirm, checkbox, cancel, confirm. I can't get to anything outside the modal. So that's looking pretty good. All right. So the dialog remains inert. The escape key, let's go ahead and try that. Yep, escape key works great. And when I dismiss it, the focus returns. So that all looks really good. Let's go ahead and see what VoiceOver makes of it.
Accessibility shortcuts.
That was not the right button. Okay, there we go.
Contact us, web content.
All right, so let's go ahead.
Email, test, message, send message, button, dialog. I agree to the terms and conditions. Unchecked, checkbox. You are currently on a checkbox inside of a.
Okay, so it did announce this time that the dialog opened, so that's good. It moved focus directly to the checkbox, so I actually didn't hear the announcement of the title and description of the modal. You would have to decide for your case if that makes sense or not. Right? It's just going to be different for every use case. I think moving the focus to the first interactive element in the modal is one of the valid interaction patterns. That's perfectly fine to do. But if I've got a bunch of information that is displaying ahead of time, I might not want to do that, right? I might want to put the focus on the modal itself. And then I would have the ARIA labeled by and the ARIA described by that would actually read out that text first, just in case I thought that was really important for people to hear. Now, of course, I could still get to that other information.
You are about to submit your contact form. Please review and agree to the terms before proceeding. Heading level 2, heading level. You are about. I agree. Cancel button. You are currently on a.
Okay, so let me go ahead and cancel.
Send message button. You are currently on a.
Okay, it didn't announce that the dialog closed. So that is going to be a failure on our checklist. Let's go ahead and open it up again.
Dialog. I agree to the terms and conditions. Unchecked. Checkbox. You are currently on a checkbox.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and check it.
I agree to the terms. Cancel. Confirm. Button. File. Image. Heading level.
Okay.
VoiceOver off.
All right, so let's take a look here at our screen reader. Okay, so I use the tab key to launch it. I hear the dialog describes its purpose or title on launch. Kind of, we went right to that checkbox, which is the purpose of the modal, but I think that in that particular case, because we did have the title and the paragraph, I think I would have moved focus either to that title or I would have moved focus to the dialog itself in that particular case. I hear that it identifies itself as a dialog. We definitely heard that. I hear when closed, the focus returns to the launch button. That worked. When open, the content behind remains inert. Oh yeah, let's go test that again. I forgot to test that one.
VoiceOver on Chrome. Contact FS tab message send message button. You are currently on a button. I agree to the terms and conditions. Heading level screw. Image. Head contact SDL.
Sorry, I was on the wrong version. I was on the CC1 version. Okay, this is the CC2 version. Let's go ahead and test that with VoiceOver.
Send message dialog. I agree to the terms and cancel. I agree cancel button. I agree to cancel button.
Okay, so I can't move out of here. Let's go ahead and check the checkbox.
I agree to check. I agree cancel confirm. I agree cancel confirm button. You are currently on a.
Okay, so that seems to work out pretty well. That's I would call that
confirm button. VoiceOver.
I would call that one a pass. Okay, then when I use the tab key, I hear focus moves the content behind remains inert. Yes, when I hit the escape key, I hear focus returns to the launch button. Yes, that happened, but the dialog didn't announce that it closed. And dismiss or close button, and then I hear the focus returns to the launch button. I guess actually announcing that the dialog closed isn't actually on here as a requirement, just that focus moved back to that launch button. So it actually did a pretty good job on this one. There's a couple of things that I think could be better. But let's go ahead and move along to Codex. So we're done with Claude here. Let me go ahead and close this up. And I've got Codex here. So this is my first time using Codex. So that's exciting. I do think it's a little, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I think it's a little bit weird that I can't see my files. Anyway, that seems weird. Like I see that I have my folder here, but it's just the threads and not the actual files that are in it. But that's all right. Okay. Oh, I don't know if there's another way to see your files. But anyway, let's go back over here. We'll go back to our naive prompt. And I have a OpenAI file. Oops, that's not Codex. Oops, here's Codex. Okay. And so we'll say in AI1. Okay. So that I make sure that it's just editing this one file. And I don't want to do a Git repository right now. So let's go ahead and see what we get from this naive prompt from Codex. Oh no, can I get rid of this? I don't need that over there. Okay. Do I not ever get to actually see my file in this? This seems weird. Am I correct? Like there's no way to see your actual file? Okay, here's what it changed. I intercepted the form submission, so clicking send message opens a confirmation modal instead of submitting immediately. I added a modal with confirmation text, a terms agreement checkbox, a confirm button, which is disabled until the checkbox is checked, a cancel button that closes the modal without submitting. I wired confirm to submit the original form after agreement, and I wired cancel to close or reset the modal. Modal styles. Okay, it just stayed all within the same form, all within the same file. All right, I guess we have to open the file somewhere else. That seems very weird to me. But hold on, I've got, okay, OA1. Let's go ahead and open that. Okay, so here's OpenAI Codex. Take one, naive prompt. All right, so let's go ahead and let me get this over here so we can, whoops. So I can walk through it. All right. And we can have that side by side. All right. And I want to go back up to the keyboard instructions. Okay. So first, I do have to fill in my form. So type. Okay. So when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button and use the space bar or enter key to activate it, I see the dialog opens. Check. Then when I use the arrow keys, I see content is browsed in a meaningful order. Content behind the dialog remains inert. So let's see. So no, I can get to the content behind the modal with the keyboard. So did not pass that one. So focus moves to interactive controls in the dialog. And then when I use the escape key, I see focus returns to the launch button. Well, I'm pressing escape over and over, nothing's happening. So this is like the first take of Claude Code all over again. And then when I use the tab key to move focus to the dismiss or close button and use the spacebar to activate it, focus moves back. Focus did not move back to the button at all. All right. So again, like almost a total failure, right? Not very good at all. Let's go ahead and fire up VoiceOver and kind of see what VoiceOver can make this page.
VoiceOver on Chrome. Contact us Google Chrome, SDFS contact us, web content. You test, message, send message, button. You are currently on a button, inside of web content.
So no announcement whatsoever that the modal opened. Focus obviously stayed on the button where I was to open it. So I can already tell, of course, that I can get to content that's outside the modal because I'm currently on content that's outside the modal.
Dialog with sent message, retest, SDFSDFLKJ, contents test, send message.
So I can totally get to everything else still on the page. So that's a total fail. Did not announce itself. I'm pretty sure it's not going to magically return focus, but let's just try it.
Dialog cancel button, group. You are currently on a group.
That's super fun. It actually left focus on the button in the modal, even though it's not on the page anymore. So I can see the focus ring around the button, and the button is not there. So I have a focus ring around a ghost. Okay. And of course, no announcement of anything closing. Just fail, 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 fail all around. So not very encouraging. If anybody is vibe coding and not explicitly asking for accessibility, I don't think you're getting very good results. Let's go ahead and open
Mission control.
Oh,
9. Find desktop. VoiceOver off.
First, let me turn off VoiceOver. All right. And then let's go ahead and do a new session in Codex here. And where'd my Codex go? Oh, I think I closed it. Okay. All right. Now I got to figure out how to make a new session. Let's see. Remove. Let's see. New thread. All right. So let's go ahead and do our accessibility prompt. And we got it here. And that's going to go in OpenAI 2. Okay. So let's go ahead and ask it for that. OpenAI 2. Okay. So this is our prompt explicitly asking for all of that behavior. I'm not asking for a semantic dialogue element, but I am asking for all of the proper behavior for a modal. So let's see what it makes of it, and we'll see how things go. Be interesting. Claude actually did pretty good when explicitly prompted for accessibility. Was very disappointing when I didn't. And I think really the results from the naive prompt for both Claude and OpenAI were almost identical, almost the exact same results. So let's see what we get here. Seems to be thinking about it a little longer than it did last time, right? Like last time, I feel like the result came back really, really fast. So I do see some hint there that we might be getting some ARIA attributes. Okay, what changed? Okay, what changed? Let's review it. I added an accessible confirmation modal with role dialog. Okay, so we didn't get the semantic element. ARIA modal true label describe that opens instead of an immediate form submit. Added required terms checkbox in the modal. Confirm stays disabled until checked. Added confirm and cancel buttons. Cancel closes the modal. Confirm submits the original form. Added keyboard and accessibility behavior. Focus moves into the modal on open. Doesn't say where, just in. Focus is trapped inside the modal while it's open. Escape closes the modal. Focus returns to the send message button when the modal closes. I added background isolation when the modal is open using inert plus ARIA hidden on the page for better screen reader behavior. All right. And tells me about some key sections in the file. All right, let's go ahead and open that up in the browser and let's see how it did. Okay, so this is OpenAI 2. All right, so let me get my screen reader acceptance criteria over here. And let's give it a try. Okay, so let me fill in the form first. Test.com. Type. Okay. So when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button and use the space bar, I see the dialog opens. Yes. When I use the arrow keys, I see content is browsed in a meaningful order. Yes. Everything looks good. Tab, tab, tab. I am trapped in the modal. So all the content behind it remains inert. If I check this, now I can get to the confirm. Let's try escape. Okay, that works. And focus is right back on that button. So I can just reactivate it again very easily. So far, looking much like Claude did when we explicitly asked for accessibility. And let's see, we can go ahead and submit the form. It's going to have an error, but that's okay. All right, so that actually seems like it did a pretty good job, but of course we did have to explicitly ask for all of that individual behavior, and it still didn't do the semantic route. Let's go ahead and test this out with a screen reader and see how it does.
VoiceOver on Chrome. Contact us Google Gherkin DFSDF test at test dot. Select grave accent.
Oops.
You are test add message send message button. Dialog with 5 items. I agree to the terms before submitting. Unchecked checkbox. You are currently on it.
That is true. There are 5 items in the dialog. Okay. Okay, so when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button, I activate the button. I hear the dialog describes its purpose or title on launch. Let me open that again. I'm not
Send
actually sure.
message button. Dialog with 5 items. I agree to the terms before submitting. Unchecked checkbox. Send message button. Dialog with.
Sorry. So I wouldn't say that dialog really announces its purpose or title on launch. Because again, it moved focus directly to that first checkbox, which for this case, like again, I don't think that's the best choice because we have a title and a paragraph first that I think it would be more helpful to hear that read first. It does identify itself as a dialogue. When it's closed, the focus does return to the launch button and the content behind remains inert. I can't get out of the dialogue until I close it. Hitting the escape key does close the dialogue. When I use the tab key, I stay inside, and then to the dismiss or close button or the enter key to activate the dismiss or close, I hear the focus returns to the launch button. So all of those I think are good. So again, when we explicitly asked for accessibility and not, we didn't just say make an accessible modal. We gave it very explicit instructions, right? We gave it the acceptance criteria of what we wanted. We got a pretty good result. When we didn't do that, we got an absolutely terrible result. So
contact us. Webback. VoiceOver off.
Okay, turn VoiceOver off. Let's go ahead and try Lovable. Since I had to pay for a month of Lovable last time, I figured we might as well use it again this time and see what it can do. So I've got a naive prompt for Lovable and I've got an explicit accessibility request for Lovable. Now, Lovable last time, if you weren't here, was simultaneously, well, I guess not simultaneously because it was 2 separate rounds. But round 1 with the naive prompt, it was the worst out of any of them. Although today, you'd have a hard time doing worse than Claude and Codex on the naive prompt. So it did the worst, and then it bizarrely did the best out of any of them with the when it was given the explicit accessibility prompt. So I don't know. We'll see if that holds up today. So let's go ahead and give it the naive prompt. And yes, I'm ready to build. So let's go ahead. Oh, I don't want plan. That's not what I wanted. Off. Go ahead and do it. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, I'm building a sleek contact form with a confirmation modal. I'll go with a warm editorial aesthetic. Oh no, I didn't ask for that, but okay. With amber and gold accents. Well, amber and gold are tough choices for accessibility. Hard to get enough contrast with those, but okay. Let's see. I wonder what makes it decide to do a warm contact form flow. Does it just have, like, a bunch of design styles it just cycles through randomly? It's like, "Oh, this time I'll go with warm." Oh, polishing? Think we're almost there? This here is driving me up the wall. Alright. Oh, we're still polishing. I guess it takes a while to polish the form. Alright. It is ready. Okay, well, let's go ahead and test it. Oh, no, I don't wanna do that. I just wanna see it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Loading a preview. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and try it out. Let's get these acceptance criteria up over here. So, I guess I'm gonna have to probably fill this in again. Test it, test.com, and then type. Okay, so when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button or space bar, I see the dialog opens. Okay, all good. Then when I use the arrow keys, I see content is browsed in a meaningful order, so not super relevant for this one. When I use the tab key, I see focus moves to interactive controls in the dialog, and the content behind the dialog remains inert. Oh, it actually seems to have done that. And this one did something that neither Claude or Codex did, which it actually gave us a close button at the top right of the modal, where the others just used the cancel and confirm buttons at the bottom as close. So yes, this one actually trapped focus without being asked. And if I enable the confirm, then I just bounce between these four things because I have an extra close button now. So I have the checkbox, I have the cancel and confirm buttons, and I have a close button up at the top right. All right, and then when I use, then when I use the escape key, what do we think? Is it gonna work? Oh, it did. Okay, Lovable. All right. I see focus returns to the launch button. Oh, so close. So close. Did not do that. Okay. And then when I use the tab key to move focus to the dismiss or close, that it returns to the launch button. It does not. So it didn't correctly handle the focus when it closes. It doesn't go back. But all in all, like considering that that was a naive prompt, that's actually not terrible. But let's try with a screen reader before we make any final decisions. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire that up.
VoiceOver on Chrome. Contact confirm. Lovable Google Chrome. Natalie. Digit 2. Window. SFJ name SFJ SDK test. Add. Message hop submit button. You are currently on HTML.
All right.
Notifications.
So let's go ahead and do this. All right. So when I use a desktop screen reader, when I move the tab key to focus to launch the button and use the space bar and or enter key to activate the button, I hear the dialog describes its purpose or title on launch. Let's see.
Dialog with 10 items. I agree to the terms and conditions and consent to the processing of my data. Uncheck. Check.
Okay. All right. Well, it did announce that it was a dialog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess there's 10 things in there. Okay. It identifies itself as a dialog. When closed, focus returns to the launch button. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just double check.
SDKLFJSDLKF.
No, it did not. Okay. And when open, the content behind the dialog remains inert. Let's go ahead and reopen it up again.
SFTMET submit dialog with 10 items. I agree to the terms and conditions and consent. I agree. Can't confirm. Close button. Group. Confirm. Can I mess email. Please heading level 2.
Okay. So this one handled the it did trap the focus in the modal. and the rest of the content is inert. I can't get out of the modal. It doesn't cycle through the modal, right? I think you heard once I hit the last item in the modal, I can't go past it. Like I can't, right? It doesn't loop back to the first item in the modal and then vice versa when I go back to the beginning. So it didn't loop around, but it did actually keep focus trapped in there. All right. And then when I use the escape key, focus returns to the launch button. It did not. And then, oops, excuse me, Oliver. Okay. And when I use the tab key to move focus, I hear focus returns to the launch button. Well, let's go ahead and cancel out of here and see what happens.
Button. SDKLFJSD.
Okay.
VoiceOver off.
So it did, I don't know, maybe like a C. It did better with the naive prompt than either Claude or Codex did. So let me go ahead and start a new session here to figure out how to do that. Go back to the dashboard. Okay, there we go. Okay, I guess I just delete this one. That's kind of funny that it's still there. Oh, okay, Oliver. I know you want to be internet famous, but not right now. Okay, and let's go ahead and grab our explicit accessibility prompt for Lovable, and let's see what we get. Okay, I wonder how long this is going to take, because I feel like Lovable took kind of a long time to build that form. I'm going to pause this right now. I'm glad that I can pause that. That's nice. There's like a carousel of videos or something. I guess it's promoting features of Lovable to me while I wait for it to do all my work and build my form for me. But all right, let's see what it says. I'll build an accessible contact form with a confirmation modal using ShadCN's dialog, which I'm not familiar with that. Oh, I should have checked to see what the HTML markup of that was. I wonder if I can get back to it. I'll check this one. Let's see what we've got, because we didn't get a dialogue, an actual dialogue element from either Claude or. Oh, that was really fast, actually. All right, well, let's try it out. Okay, let's do keyboard test first. So let me go ahead and fill it in. Type. Here, I'll actually type something so when it goes on the screen reader, it doesn't sound so terrible. Test message. Okay, so I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button and use the space bar to enter or activate the button. I see the dialog opens. Yes, wonderful. When I use the arrow keys, I see content is browsed in meaningful order, which I don't have that enabled on my Mac. I don't have full keyboard navigation enabled. So then when I use the tab key, I see focus moves to interactive controls in the dialog and the content behind remains inert. So unsurprising that it got that right this time, because it did that correctly with the naive prompt. So that looks like it worked. And let's go ahead and cancel, and focus did move back to the submit button. So it did get that focus handling that it missed last time. It did get that correct. Let's double check and make sure the escape key works. Yes, it got that last time though too. So keyboard interactivity on this one actually looks pretty good with the explicit accessibility prompt, which is similar to what we saw last time with Lovable. If you explicitly asked for accessibility, then you got a pretty good result. If you didn't explicitly ask for accessibility, it was pretty abysmal. But actually today, it did better than the other two, where last time it did a lot worse. All right, let's go ahead and fire up VoiceOver.
VoiceOver on Chrome. Friendly form. Lovable Google Chrome. Natalie. And Digit 2. Jane Doe.
Okay. I like that it called it friendly form. That's very cute. Okay. Desktop screen readers. So when I use the tab key to move focus to the launch button and use the space bar and or enter key to activate the button, I hear the dialog describes its purpose or title on launch. Let's check it out.
Test message submit cancel button confirm submission. Please review your information before submitting.
It did say please review your information before submitting. it did read the paragraph. That's interesting. It did move focus to the cancel button this time instead of the checkbox, which is an interesting difference that I'm not clear why. I don't think it actually. So let's go ahead and try that out.
Submit button, main.
Okay, so focus did move back to my launch button. And let's double check and make sure all the other content on the page is inert while that's open.
Cancel button, confirm submission. I agree to the terms and conditions and consent to have. I agree to cancel, confirm, end of, confirm submission. Please review your information before submitting. By confirming, your message will be confirmed. To cancel, I agree to, please review heading level 2, confirm submission. Please review your information before submitting. By confirming, your message will be sent to our team. Alert dialog.
Okay, yeah. So the rest of the page is inert. I can't get out of this dialog to get to the rest of the page. So that's good. Okay, tab key moves focus to the interactive controls in the dialog. Yes. When I hit escape, I hear focus returns to the launch button. Yes.
Submit button.
Or when I use the tab key. Okay, so if I do it with the button. So that time I use the escape key. We can also do it to the button.
Cancel button, submit button.
Which is really easy to do since it puts focus on that cancel button as soon as it opens. So I think it was a weird choice to put focus on the cancel button. I actually kind of liked what it did the first time around better, where it had the separate close button up at the top right. I thought that was a little bit better. Let's inspect
Space
this.
selected. VoiceOver off.
Well, I want to go ahead and inspect this real quick. Oh, can I? Oh, yeah, there we go. Inspect. Let's see what we got down here. My form. Where's my modal? Oh, here, let me open the modal and inspect it. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, we used ARIA. So we have a div role alert dialog. ARIA described by, of course, these are not really very human-friendly IDs or things, radix -:R5, whatever. And ARIA labeled by. I did hear when the dialogue had, when the dialogue itself had focus, that I did hear the title and that first paragraph read out as the description of the dialogue. So it has an accessible name. But we didn't, so none of them were able to actually deliver on semantic, on a semantic dialogue. So that's a little bit disappointing. But, you know, like I said, I think most developers aren't even aware that that's an element that's available to them for doing these kinds of modal dialogues. And I do see them, they miss all the time. They miss the focus management all the time. They miss having it be an ARIA dialogue that actually has an accessible name. They miss having it be a semantic dialogue element when that's an option. And they miss the escape key. Gets missed a lot, most of the time. Most of the time that doesn't even work. So this is, again, last week I was thinking, wow, that is not at all what I expected. And I feel pretty much the same way today. Like nothing here was what I would have predicted or what I would have expected. I'm surprised that this time around Lovable did like a reasonably okay job. I mean, it was not perfect by any means. There was still a lot of barriers with the form that it did with the naive prompt. But it did a lot better than it did with the naive prompt last time. And then I felt like ChatGPT and Claude actually attempted accessibility last time with the naive prompt, and they didn't even try this time. Without being explicitly prompted for it, they didn't even try, which is pretty disappointing. And I think maybe part of that is the code the models are trained on, right? Like this is something that gets done incorrectly so much. So I guess it unfortunately kind of makes sense that they wouldn't know without being explicitly prompted to make that accessible. I would say in most cases, explicitly prompting for accessibility improved the output. I think with Lovable, I actually kind of liked the first version a little bit better. It had a few problems, but I feel like those were fixable. I liked what it did with the accessible prompt less. I don't know if anybody else agrees. We didn't get a native dialogue out of anyone, so that's disappointing. And Lovable did seem to at least give us an ARIA dialogue both times, where Codex and Claude didn't give us an ARIA dialogue unless they were explicitly prompted for accessibility. The checkbox seemed to do fine in all cases. Focus management was pretty bad. The focus trapping, moving focus around to the right things, I think that was pretty bad all around. I don't think I saw any of them do what I would have done if I were hand coding this, right? When it comes to moving focus into the dialogue when it opens. And Lovable there at the end made a real weird choice to put the focus on the cancel button, even though it had kind of done a pretty nice job marking up a dialogue that it could have just moved focus to the dialogue itself. Yeah, they didn't really trap focus unless they were explicitly asked for, except Lovable was the only one that got that one right. Yeah. So here we are again. If you are vibe coding, if you are using these tools to make something, you absolutely need to be explicitly asking for accessibility, and then you need to, have something like Charlie Triplett's acceptance criteria open to walk through and test what you're being given to make sure that it's actually meeting those accessibility success criteria, and that it's actually going to work for users who come to your site. They all did a nice job of making it look good with either prompt, but the functionality was definitely not there, was not 100% there in any of them. I would have had to keep prompting and keep modifying and keep making changes to all of those, I think. So nice starting point, like really fast, right? I couldn't have coded up a dialogue that quickly, but you definitely have your work cut out for you if you're trying to build something with just these AI tools at this point. All right, so there's what we learned today. You must ask for accessibility, and you must test like anything that comes back to you, which is pretty much the same lesson we got last time. So I think next time, I do feel bad about the Windows and NVDA. So I think we will come back and we'll try out all the stuff that we did today. We'll try out all the stuff we did last week on NVDA, and I'll give you a little walkthrough on how to use NVDA and how to use how to use that if you're building stuff, how to test with a screen reader if you've never used one before, so that you can get a good idea of how to do it. And NVDA is free, and it works best with Firefox, which is also free. So, so you have no excuses really for not having it installed and trying out code that you're writing with it, whether you're writing that code by hand or if you are writing that code with an AI assistant. All right, so that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me again to figure out, can I build an accessible modal? The surprising results yet again, but here we are. Hopefully the tools will get better at this, and hopefully we can get some more accessible results, but keep in mind that you've got to be on top of these tools. You can't just trust what they're giving you. All right, I'll see you all next time, and I hope that you all have a wonderful week. Thank you